Hey guys, welcome to week 4 of Unscripted. We've talked about what so far?
Past, present, future.
Past, present, future, just like Scrooge. And then today, in some way, this is great. This is a great topic, I think. I don't know where it fits in with past, present, and future. Then family. So today we're gonna talk about family. And I think that this is great because for me, I think that each one of us here come from different places when it comes to this. So like for me, I grew up a pastor's kid. My family has always been integrated with church. So like I don't know anything different. Like this is literally my life. And so I have always viewed my family super interwoven into church lifestyle. Like I don't know them separate, which is strange. I'm a rarity, right? But I know that each one of us are kind of different. So if you guys could give like a real brief, like I just gave my real brief, but like if you guys could give like a real brief version of like, this is your path with like, I don't know, maybe it's church and family, or maybe it's a family. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
This isn't on our list of questions.
So for me, I feel like I don't feel this way. I've always had a big family. So like I've always had that, but like when my parents divorced in high school, I clung more to like the people in the church and my youth group, and that like those people became closer family to me than like my own family. So like that kind of concept.
Yeah, I also grew up with my family going to church every Sunday, so a lot of people in my family are church people that, you know, they had like the system going every Sunday, but as I've gotten older, I've had a lot of extremely close family members just kind of like drift away, and now they're completely against it. So it's like a constant battle of like, I'm pouring my life into this and they're going like really far away from it. So I've kind of seen like both ends of like putting my life into it, kind of like lukewarm Christianity versus just completely going away from it altogether.
Right.
Yeah, and I actually, so I wish I could attribute this quote to someone, but it is a quote, right? Where this was actually talking about pastors, but I think that God kind of calls us all to be pastors of our own circles, if that makes sense. And his quote was, a good pastor always builds up their community. And I think likewise, like a good family member always is trying to build up their family. So in your mind, I guess, how would you say, because I think this is super interesting. This is super personal too. Like, how would you define who your family is?
That's like hard, but at the same time, like it's like hard to describe, but like I know it. So it's like, I guess just there's a certain point where you just like feel that, like the level you can be like vulnerable with people, or just like how they are towards you. I don't know. I can't find the words correctly, but like there's other people who are outside of your family that could be your family, and they just come that way just because like how those relationships are. And like
Yeah, I think sometimes family goes like beyond like relationship, like through like direct family, like your relatives. I think family becomes people that you trust and love, and over time growing up, you learn that from your relatives, that family that you have. And I think that is where the idea of family comes from. Those are the people that you grow up with, you trust, you love. And sometimes it just doesn't always end up with that, with your exact relatives. And so I think family is creating a space where you're vulnerable and you love those people, and they're in that circle that we've been talking about. So I think it's not like certain and defined like for everyone. I think everything's different, and it just looks different to people depending on who's in that circle. Yeah,
and I think that you bring up a good point too, both of you guys, where it's like, in reality, our family, and I think over time you start to realize this, like, and this is good news for some people who come from really, really rough family situations, like biological family, right? Like, but that family isn't always, sometimes family is who you determine your family to be. And it's the people who do try to build you up. They're the people who do try to empower you and make you better. So along that same line, what are some of the ways that the people in our family shape who we are, who we become to be? in our future?
Most of the time, it's just the space that they give you to grow. Like, growing up, your parents are gonna give you space and they're gonna teach you things, but they're not gonna like, hopefully they aren't like right there alongside you, like breathing down your neck, telling you exactly how to do things. It's giving you space and time to grow. And I think like relative family, people that you grew up with doing that, that's like one that we understand and know. But like people that you make your family as you grow older, like your friends that you meet, I think they also give you a lot of room and opportunity to grow and kind of be yourself and just learn how to do that. Like I think for me going to college, like getting that family there, it was like people that allowed me and showed me like you're allowed to be vulnerable with people. I was really bad at that. Still not the best, but they gave me stepping stones to do that, and I think people giving you room to do that.
Yeah, and then like building off of that, like you have that backgrounds and like you get that from like your core relative family, and then you build that, like we always talk about like the 5 closest people in your life are like the sum of who you are basically, and it's like who you spend your time around, like it's important, and like building that and the like unconditional love kind of feel, like bringing that in like can totally change who you are.
Yeah, and really, I mean, now we're talking about we are to build each other up, but we're here to build each other up positively, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, I think that a lot of times too, we put people in our family that shouldn't necessarily be there, or we're like, oh yeah, this person is in my family, and so therefore, like, I mean, I have to let them shape who I am. In Ecclesiastes 4, it goes through the conversation of like 2 strands are better than 1, obviously, of like a rope, and 3 strands is really hard to break. In your mind, when you're thinking of that, like when you're thinking of that, like, oh, the closer knit I am with, I mean, we could say friend group, we could say family, put in whatever word you want. How has that affected kind of the way that you live with others?
I guess it would make me like more genuine and open, like knowing that you need each other to like work off of and build off of, and like you're not gonna get through life by yourself. Like ministry is lonely, and so like you need other people, and like life can be lonely in general, like for anyone, so like you just need those other people to be with you, to guide you, to help make you like better people.
Yeah, and I think too, like it's the thought of like how much weight are you willing to carry?
Yeah.
And then if we're just talking about the 3 of us, like the weight that all 3 of us can take together is much better than and way more than like what I could take by myself. So even just the ability to be like, okay, I have other people in my life that are gonna help shoulder the weight or the burdens or like my hardships, whatever it is. It's almost like freeing.
Yeah.
Like, do you guys feel the same way?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for you, is there anyone on your list that you want to spend more time with, or more time regularly, or is there also people? This is, of course, we're referencing like if you created a list of the people that you are the 5 closest to, right? Like you create a list of the people who you would be like, this is my family, better or worse, this is who they are. I still think that there's a part of like, I don't think you abandon relationships. I don't think you ever do that. That's bad. But the way that you let those relationships influence you is different, and some of that's time spent or how much weight you give to that person, to speak into your life, how much information you give them. I mean, we talked about it a little bit before, like yesterday or something, where we were talking about the difference between secrecy and privacy, right? Like privacy helps protect you, and secrecy really doesn't do much for you, like keeping things secret. But is there anyone on your list that you would create? Like if you created a mental list of the people who are in your family, who are not who, we won't do that. But is there anyone on your list, and then kind of give like a reason why, is there anyone on your list that you're like, I wish I'd spend more time with these people, and then vice versa, is there like, I wish I spent less time with these people because of blank?
Yeah, I feel both. Like there's people that I want to spend more time with just to get to know them better and their stories better, and then there's like, how can I help them like love God better? And so like going through those like steps, and then I'm like, okay, it's like a both and kind of thing. Like, how can we grow together, like, alongside each other? And then, like, for people that shouldn't be in that group, it's not, like, bad to not want people in your group, but I guess it would depend on, like, why you don't want them in there. Like, if there's toxic people and you just know, like, it's not helping you, like, it stresses you and stuff, like, there just has to be, like, a point where, like, okay, like, I love you and I care for you, but I can't be around you that much. Or, like, you know, like, setting boundaries. Like,
Yeah,
maybe
I was
more
gonna say boundaries,
need to
yeah.
be made instead of, like, oh, you can stay in my circle and just bring me down all the time. Like,
Yeah.
you have to find that boundary.
Well, and if you go back to like the core of family unit, like one of like the greatest things that families do is they're going in the same direction.
Yeah.
So like it's really, really hard to have somebody in your family unit, like it hardly ever works, where they're just going off in a different path.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there's a point where in relationships you know who's truly filling you up in certain moments. I think there's always a different time in our lives where we're like, I need this. I need this kind of support. I know this person can give me this. And I think there's also moments where it's like, I need to step back, because there's certain people that are just like, sometimes you love them and they are a part of your circle, but you're like, in order to maintain this relationship in a very healthy way, we have to have those boundaries. I think boundaries are super important.
Right. This was like me in
Yeah.
the car earlier.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I think because like some of my closest friends were just like, I think we love each other and we're really good in certain situations where I'm like, I need to talk to you about this or whatever. But there's some times where like my best friend growing up, our love languages are like polar opposite. And like, I love her, she like fills me up, she knows how to speak into my life in right ways. But I'm like, sometimes I'm like, we have to back up right now. I'm like, we would fight and I was like, we have to like set boundaries and like, you can't say these things to me because this genuinely like hurts my feelings, and like, and vice versa. Like, I didn't even realize I was doing things to her that like she was upset about and stuff like that. So I think it's setting boundaries with the people that you love in order to keep those relationships healthy and going and just like learning about each other and what makes you you. It's just kind of like, it keeps that going, so you don't have to like completely like abandon relationships, which like you said, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's not something, unless it's something that like an extreme situation, but it's like in those kind of relationships you just can't let go like that, so you have to set boundaries to make sure that doesn't happen.
Well, I think boundaries are key, but I also think you hit on a good part where like, we're not saying that like whoever's listening right now should be like everybody in your family unit is similar. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you have to figure out how you lead. You have to figure out your personality. You have to figure out like what you like and what you don't like, what your love languages are. Like, all of those are super important. So like, if we're going back to Ecclesiastes and it's talking about like having people in your family who are of different tribes and tongues and nations and whatever, how does your friend group either like mirror that or differ from that? And how do you manage in like this crazy all-encompassing like family unit?
I feel like everyone's kind of different in their own way anyway. So like, when you find friends, like, it just depends on like, I don't know, like when you make friends, making friends is so weird. So like, it just, I don't know, I just feel like it always just happens somehow.
Yeah, it's like a weird speed dating, like you run across each
You're like,
other.
hey, like you just say hey.
I like
3
long
times
walks on
and
the
then-
beach. Me
Yeah.
too. Let's
But like with your
Hang out.
family, yeah, you don't have any choice.
let's
You
hang
don't
out
have any
now.
choice with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, right.
So like, you have your family who's your family and you don't have a choice, but like with your friends you can pick like those people, so you get that like wide variety, but then like each person can help you in some certain way and you can help them in each different way. Like, everyone has like different needs and wants, and so like
Yeah.
helping them through that is like,
Yeah, and I don't think it's weird to be like, this is what I need.
Yeah.
And so you actually pick people in your family unit who like help you, but you help them. Like, it's a
Yeah.
mutual
yeah.
help.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the question?
What was the question? It was from every nation, tribe, and tongue, like the differences,
Yeah.
makeup of family unit. How does yours reflect that or not?
You guys have 4 minutes, by the way.
Oh, okay, just go to the
We can wrap this in 4.
just go to the next question.
Um,
Alexia did great.
So here's a personal question. Do you think that your community needs to grow bigger, stronger, or something like that? Or have you had this thought? And kind of what have you done to help that, to make that happen?
I think I do have this thought a lot. I hate being complacent. Like, I hate the idea of like staying somewhere for a long time. Has always freaked me out. Maybe because I grew up in the same place for 18 years. But
maybe, yeah.
But it's been a season of like learning to tell myself like it's okay to be here, it's okay to stay in places and grow. And so, because I've always been like, I just want more people like around me. Because even though I'm an introvert, I'm like, whenever I want to be have that extra, like I want to be able to just be like, oh, this person is available, let's go hang out with them. But I think right now it's a time of like learning that it's okay to stay in one place, it's okay to stay with a same group of people and expand just like slowly and small, but like expand your relationship with them and just keep going into a deeper relationship and like getting to know them and being vulnerable in that point, which I'm still really bad at, but
yeah. You get better, it's good.
Thank you.
It's like the hype couch.
Yeah.
Good thing you guys are in each other's family. Yeah, I'm glad you guys chose.
Well, oh.
No, go ahead, answer.
I feel like sometimes, I mean, for me, like, I feel like you need to weed people out to get more vulnerable. So, like, for me growing up, it was like, if you had problems with people in your family or anything, they were like, well, get over it. Like, this is who I am, get over it.
Yeah.
And so, like, at some point, like, there's a point where you can keep, like, loving them, but like from a distance. So you can like weed out like who's closest to you and like impacting you, but still love like your family circle.
And all right, so if you give one quick tip on how to treat your family unit more like a family, what would you say?
I would say pray for them. That's what we've been talking, like our team, more about like how we can pray together and stuff like that. I think like the one thing I've consistently prayed for in my entire life is my family and the people I consider family. Even though prayer is just like up and down sometimes, and like sometimes you're consistent, sometimes you're not, but that's like the one thing. And I've seen relationships like just grow because of it and just change.
And even just the act of praying and thinking about someone else like opens your heart to them. I mean, it's so beneficial.
I've had people like come to me and be like, I've stayed with you through this prayer, and I've prayed with you, and in the past 4 years I've seen like how your prayers have like shown up and how God has shown up through it.
Yeah. I mean, I'll literally backpack that. Like, that's great. Like, taking that and just, like, knowing what you need and, like, praying for it as, like, a group.
I wish that I could backpack off that, but I can't. So, if I had one tip, and you guys will not be shocked by this at all, but I would say you have to give time. Like you have to be so open and willing to give time. Like, quality time is super important. And so many people speak with quality time. Quality time speaks to them, and when you give your time to them, it's so important. So you have to be like super open. Like to your family, you're always open. It's an open door policy, and it works. So that's what we got, family unit. If you guys have any questions or whatever, drop them in the link below. We'd love to communicate with you or talk to you. But from our family unit to yours, we love you. We'll see you guys next week.
Hey, I'm Madison from the Whitewater Youth Team, and if you liked what you saw, like, subscribe, comment, send us what you like, and check out these other videos. They're either over here or up here or wherever. Just check out our other videos or Instagram. Yeah.